driving smoothly. It wants to be thrashed. This car, as you may know or may not know, I'm actually building for one day to be an autocross car. Now, the CRX for me has always just been kind of a budget modified car for me. It's always kind of been my test bed for a lot of the stuff that I do and use or implement into my Z32 build. Because obviously the Z32 is, let's be honest, it's way more expensive than the CRX. And everything I've done for the CRX has ultimately been a pretty budget, I would say. Although I want to build this car for ultimately autocross / street use, I want it to be clean still. I want it to be very appealing to the eye as a CRX enthusiast would appreciate one. So carrying on with that mindset, today we will be installing Maxpeedingrod T6 coilovers. Now, if you didn't already know, I already have the Maxpeedingrods basic height adjustable and damping adjustable coilovers in this car. It's kind of their budget entry level coilover setup. I'm not by any means a suspension master or expert. I understand the basic physics of it, and that's about it. However, I do know that what I have here today is a good upgrade compared to what I have in the car currently. So let's get to unboxing these. Again, huge shout out to Maxpeedingrods for sending these over. There will be a discount code down in the description below, so you can get your own set of Maxpeedingrod coilovers. Again, these are the T6 variant. This should be, as far as I'm aware, these are the newest ones out on the market today. Now, what I will be taking off the car are the entry level. They're listed as the twin tube adjustable damping and height coilover setup. Again, you'll see those when I take them off. But these are the newest and latest T6 coilovers from Maxpeedingrods. If anybody has a hookup at NOS and wants to send me a sponsor for them, that would be freaking awesome. I know there's no way that I can be the only person that this happens to. I went to start on the car, I went to get the jack, and then I looked over and I saw my TV in my toolbox, and I was like, hey, I haven't turned that thing on in a long time. Maybe I should see what happens. Turned it on, and sure as shit, it turns right on. But the remote batteries were bad, so I had to go find batteries, and then the batteries were corroded, so we had to clean up the corrosion. And now, the TV works. I knew it worked. I mean, I didn't really know it worked. It's been a while. I mean, come on. I got a TV in my toolbox. How freaking cool is that? To be honest, I kind of got the TV for free. Major, if you're watching this, this is your fault that I have a TV in my freaking toolbox. Unfortunately, I can't really play music while I'm working on the car in this video because the music playing in the background could strike me with a copyright flag, and we don't want that. Anyways, enough distractions. We are now going to work on the CRX. This is oh trash. This is gonna have to wait for this today. Back to the CRX. We're gonna get started on this. I swear, I'm gonna start working on this thing right now. Alright, there's one. So I got my old base model, I guess you could call them Maxpeedingrods out. These are the entry-level setup that you can get for like 240, 250 bucks. I've got probably not too many miles on them, maybe 1,000 miles on these coilovers. The primary differences between these two, if you look at the top hats, this has a spherical top mount, whereas this has a bushing style top mount. Main difference is that this will be way more rigid, so it'll create a little bit rougher of a ride, but there's less play and less slop in your coilovers with the spherical top mount. The suspension all around will be much tighter and much more responsive in the front because of that. Also, if you look on the bottom side, there's actually a, as they describe it, a radial bearing. My understanding of the radial bearing is to basically isolate the spring movement from the mounting points of the strut. I think the primary differences here is really in the top hat. The bottom lower mount assembly looks pretty similar between the two. Now, based on what Maxpeedingrods website says, there's also a better hydraulic oil within the T6 versus the standard strut. So one thing I've noticed, and this may not be too much of a problem, but for some of you who like to go really low, this will definitely be a problem because my car originally doesn't even sit that low. I don't like my car sitting that low. This is going to raise my car by probably about 3/4 to an inch. And the reason for that is this is all the way bottomed out right now. I don't know about this one. I don't remember how much farther I had to go on this one. It's not worth my time to go about doing that. But I think because of, if I put the spring height to be in the same position, you can see this extra top hat raises it up a little bit higher. Now, this is completely bottomed out, so I would assume this strut here would be bottomed out probably at the same point. So I guess what I'm getting at is this extra pillow ball mount up top wasn't accommodated for when it comes to lowering the sleeve with the collar, because this will not go anymore. It's locked out. So that's the only problem I foresee running into as far as putting these in the car. But again, it could work out in my favor. I'm gonna run it and see how I like it in the end. Now we have the rears, and from what I can tell, the rears pretty much look identical as far as the way the top hats mount and the lower part mounts. I don't think much has changed in the rear, honestly. It's still a rubber mount on the top with 22mm and 2 washers on each side. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount these in. To finish up with the coilovers, which we initially set out for in this video, Maxpeedingrods, I messaged them about the front coilovers being too tall for me. Even bottomed out, they're still basically sitting at factory ride height or higher. You can't really tell right now, but that's as low as it can go. And the older coilovers I had on it were had a little bit more adjustability as far as how low it can go. Shout out to the guys at Maxpeedingrods for helping me out with this. The customer service I've had with them has been well above and beyond. So now we're going to be installing the T7 coilovers. at least in the front. I know it may not look like it, but here are all 3 different models of the Maxpeedingrod coilovers. We have the base models, which were on my car originally. This is the T6 model, which I will be putting on the front. They're pretty much the same in the rear, from what I can tell, as the T7 rears. So the primary difference between the T6 and the T7, if you haven't already noticed, is actually in the top hat right here. If you notice, this one also has a spherical joint on the top as well as a radial bearing right beneath it. And the reasoning for the 2 different bearings on this one is so that the spring will operate independently of the mounting points of the strut itself. Either way, if you have a CRX or EF chassis, these may be too high for you, because as of right now, with the extra bearing in the top hat, it's not allowing me to lower the coilover low enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in the T7s in the front at least. It looks to me like the rear coilovers are the same between the T6 and the T7, and the primary differences is really in the top hat. So we're gonna go ahead and get these things installed, and I'll get back to you. Okay, just for the heck of it, I'm gonna have some fun with this. I'm gonna do this wheel, this strut, in real time. No cutting, no speed variant, no nothing. I'm just gonna take the wheel off, drop it out. Hopefully I should be able to do it in about 2-3 minutes. On 3, 1, 2, 3, go. There we have it, old one out. Oh crap, I didn't get the new one ready. Alright guys, that should do it for the coilover swap. I'm gonna go test drive the car right now. It is actually a new day here, and I couldn't drive it the other night. I had to finish up some other things. If you guys didn't know, I probably won't put it in this video, but I did do a fuel pump in the time that I did the coilover swap in this car as well. I ran into a bit of complications with that because apparently the AEM fuel pressure regulator that I have doesn't like Walbro 485s, or at least not in this particular setup. Or maybe it was just a fluke. Either way, didn't like it, so I had to order a Walbro 255 and swap that out in my fuel tank because the 485 just seemed like it was too much. So with all that said, we got the new 255 fuel pump in the car and the Maxpeedingrods T7 coilovers now, because the T6s were a little bit too high. So let's go ahead and pull this thing out, give it a test drive, and see how much better it is. Video is taking way longer than I ever anticipated it to. Unfortunately, I ran into some other issues with the Honda. What it was doing basically was, as I go into like part throttle and then go give it more gas, it would lean all the way out. Ended up being a problem with my fuel pressure regulator. The jam nut on the fuel pressure regulator is actually completely missing. And what would happen, I think, is as I would drive the car, it would heat up, and obviously the tolerance of the metal would loosen up over time. And with that, it would unscrew itself and I'd lose fuel pressure as I continue to drive it. So now we're going to go drive the car and get an actual review of the vehicle in driving in motion with the new coilovers on it. Also to add, the spring rate in all these coilovers differ with each different set. For the sake of this video, I'll go ahead and throw them up here for you guys so that you can see the spring rates of each and every one of them. They do get stiffer as the more advanced class of coilovers goes up. So hopefully the CRX is running right this go around. Let's hop in it and go for a ride. So for daily use, I really don't think they're bad. I honestly think they're pretty similar to what I had in it before. All right, so we found some turns here. Let's go see what this thing can do. A lot of wheel spin. I am also on way over expired tires here, so keep that in mind as well. I can't push the car as hard as I really want to test out these, to put the coilovers to a real test. Alright y'all, I guess that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this one. Next up, we're tuning in the Z, so make sure you stay tuned for that. That should be really exciting. But anyways, hope you all have a good one. Take care, peace out.